I'm Sandy.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Kirsten.
Today we're going to be making sushi. The fish we're using, we have smoked salmon right here, for those who don't like raw fish. Some peeled cucumber slices, a little bit of shredded carrots, some green onion, and then a little bit of wasabi. We have sushi rice here to make it, and then as a dessert, traditionally, fresh cut fruit is used as the nice aftertaste. To start off making sushi rice, what you want to do is you want to rinse it thoroughly. What makes it sticky is there's lots of starch in it, and so by washing it, you'll wash off all this excess starch, so it's still just that nice sticky rice without that stickiness to it. And then once you're done thoroughly washing for about 15-20 minutes, depending on how much rice you use, you want to throw it into a big bowl full of water and let it sit for 30 minutes. The water will soak in and the rice will start to crack. After 30 minutes, drain out the water. You can either throw it into a pan or a rice maker like we have. And then once it's done, you gotta let it cool off, but don't refrigerate it. Just let it cool off and then you're ready to go.
So for our My Plate guidelines, our carb is the sticky rice. Our protein is the salmon that we have, and our vegetables are the carrots, the onions, and the cucumbers. And then the fruit is our traditional fruit dessert of an apple.
So, Chef Connor.
Yes.
Can you please demonstrate how you put this masterpiece together?
Alright, so it's actually much simpler than you think, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult. We'll first create space. The very first thing you need is seaweed. And traditionally it is a one big sheet, but when we're using a bamboo mat like this, you actually want to fold it in half, so you're actually making a smaller roll. There's two sides to it. There's a plain side, and then I don't know if the camera can see this, but it's a little bit of a reflection. It's a shiny side. Whenever rolling, the shiny side is face down. So to begin, we lay out our little bamboo mat here. Make sure it's lengthwise so it can roll away from you. Just set it down right here. And then a very big key to this is you want to have a bowl of water. And the idea of that is the sticky rice will stick to your hands horrendously, so if you keep your hands wet, it won't stick to you.
So, Chef Connor, what rice would you normally recommend for a sushi roll?
Well, it depends on where you go. This rice right here is called Calarus rice. You can get it at usually any place that sells rice. Honestly, Costco, I bought a 25-pound bag for like $12. It's not really expensive if you buy it in bulk, and I've seen Winco in their bulk section will sell it for $1 a pound. So
does it typically matter what rice you use? Can you use white rice or jasmine rice?
No, you want to use rice that specifically says sushi, because what makes the sushi rice is that stick, that starch we were talking about earlier. Without that starch, you actually can't make a successful roll because it'll fall apart on you.
Good to know.
Alright, so we start with just a nice little handful of rice here. And then we started our little mat. Nice little ball. Start it here, and we'll just kind of slowly try and press along the way here. Grab more, always. Make sure you don't overfill it though, because when you do, you'll start the rolling process and your seaweed will actually crack on you and then open up, and then you get to eat a nice little rice salad.
Talk about your technique here, Chef Connor.
So the idea here is we just want a thin layer of rice that's as even as we can get it across the sheet, and then make sure there's a little bit of room on one side and then a lot of room on the other. Then we'll take our nice little wooden knife here, and then like with our hands, you want to get it wet in the water here, and then you'll actually push down the rice around the edge here, and that'll help it act as a glue to make it stickier so it doesn't fall apart on you. So once you get your rice all nice and organized like this, we'll be taking wasabi here. You're gonna wet your hands always, make sure they kind of stay clean too. You just take your wasabi, get a little bit on your hands, a little bit on the fingers, and then you'll just make a line right here.
Now, the wasabi on the sushi roll, is that typically of this roll that we're doing, or is that on every roll?
Traditionally, it's on every roll. Wasabi is a very prominent ingredient in Japanese-style sushi, and it's not a test of bravery. That's the biggest thing that sushi chefs and connoisseurs want people to know. It's a flavor enhancer, so you don't put a ton on there to prove that you're cooler than all your friends. You know, to do that you ruin this beautiful dish. Alright? So once you've thoroughly applied your wasabi, you know, always put it on to taste. Never too much, never too little. It's up to the person and or who you're making it for. And they should specify how much they want before you start making, instead of putting it on top.
Can you do that in a restaurant?
Oh, absolutely. Just make sure your waiter knows that you want a little bit more wasabi or a little bit less wasabi. And then the chef loves what they're doing. It's their passion. And they'd be more than happy to make a sushi roll that, you know, it's for you. So we kind of want to make a little divot here. And then we're going to start adding our ingredients. We have just a little bit of fish, just one little line. These rolls aren't supposed to be mega stuffed, you know, again, or else it might start ripping. Take a little bit of cucumber, just a little bit. It's like one strip right there. A little bit of a carrot.
Now, the roll that we're making today, does that have a specific name?
No, essentially sushi is how you want it. It's the dish for you, so you can make it however you want it. You know, we're just showing you the techniques and how to correctly do it. You can use whatever fish you want, whatever vegetables you want. You know, traditional Japanese sushi is actually just rice and fish. And then you put your wasabi and all that other stuff, your soy sauce and all that other goodies. That's all on the side, but in the roll, it's just that. Now that we have our nice little loaded roll here, what we're going to do is we're going to begin the rolling process. Make sure it stays squared up on your bamboo mat. We're going to want to stuff as we roll to make sure it doesn't go over the top. Just quickly down like this. Then again, to make sure it gets that actual roll form. Now that once you get that, make sure it stays tight and together. You know, if you have a loose roll, then it's just going to fall apart as they're eating it or as you're cutting it, and they're going to have to start completely over. So this is a critical step, that it stays nice and compact, and that rice glue that you made at the very beginning holds the seaweed together. You should unroll, and voila, there you have your sushi roll.
Wow.
Whoa. Now you take your knife, and traditionally 6 to 8 rolls is how you cut it. Larger rolls are typically cut in 8, smaller rolls are cut in 6. Take your knife, you dip the blade into the water here, and pull up so that water can get on the blade as well, because you don't want your rice sticking to your blade, or else you'll rip the sushi roll.
Now, how important is the knife in this cooking process?
Everyone overlooks the knife. It's actually of key importance to the sushi roll. You want a nice blade, because when you're sawing it, you're actually going to cause the sushi to fall apart. And so a nice, sharp, actually they make knives specific for sushi, so that way it doesn't fall apart.
Disclaimer, this is not a sushi knife.
This is not a
This
sushi
is
knife.
a kitchen knife from a kitchen.
So the key is to make as little cuts as possible. There you are. Nice, simple sushi, ready to eat.
And typically, how would you eat this? I mean, you know, I see a lot of people eat it, you know, with wasabi and soy sauce. Is that
Yeah,
typical
that's
or tradition, or
that's very common. What's not tradition is when people put the wasabi into the soy sauce and then mix it up that way.
guilty.
No problem. In American culture, that's 100% okay. It's just like I said before. You ask how much you know how much wasabi you want. So you make sure that the chef knows that that's how much you want. So the idea is more wasabi goes on the inside of the roll.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now that we have plated our sushi rolls, it is time for the taste test. And after we finish eating our bite or 2 bites of sushi, we are going to try the apple. The sweetness of the apple complements the taste of the sushi.
I'll say I really like this because the cucumber gives it a little crunch inside the middle. The green onion flavor mixes well with the carrots. And then because our salmon is smoked, that flavor really just punches through so you don't lose the fish inside the roll.
It's important you don't lose the fish.
Of course. I'd like to take a moment to thank you guys for bearing through this video. You can make sushi however you want. It's very personal as a dish. We just are showing you the techniques of how to do it. You're more than welcome to do it at home. Don't expect to be a master your first time. People train for years to be able to do it well. Just go out there, have fun, put whatever you want in it, and the world is yours.